I'm Trek with 2Ks.
Right. Hola, hola, buenas noches, buenos tardes, GnGs. My name is Trekker 2Ks, and why aren't you doing what I need you to do? And it's always something. It's always something. That's not what I wanted at all. That is not what I wanted at all. All right, what is going on right now? Okay. Sorry, my phone is just randomly doing stuff right now. All right, so let me get this image where I need to get it. There we go. And then let me pull over here. All right. Yeah. What's crazy is I came in the house early enough today. I wasn't in my lazy slumper mode, and I still ended up being like on the 9 o'clock hour. But honestly, it's better than when I be on my 10 o'clock hour, because then that leads me into 11. And for those of you who've been here for a while, you understand how the rambles start coming in then and the randomness of things. But more importantly, I am Trek with 2Ks. This is Trek with 2Ks Live, brought to you here on multiple platforms at this point, and it's still the experiment of which of these things makes sense. So that's X, that's YouTube, that's Twitch, and I'm also playing the game of where I'm doing two YouTube things because I'm doing my actual channel, and then I'm also on the Gentleman of Crypto's channel. I primarily do the Gentleman of Crypto channel because this was where I initially was building the community, and folks on this side know me, and the algos is already friendly to pushing the channel out, right? But I would 100% appreciate for folks who would go out and find my channel and give a like or a thumbs up, or like, share some of these videos and whatever. I'm not saying you have to, but it would be greatly appreciated if you did, right? And so beyond that intro part, if you don't know how this show works out, is basically I go through basically, bookmark what scratches my brain over like the last 70-ish 2 hours, and then I talk about it on the channel. And I'm gonna say the last couple of weeks, it's been some things that I have brought up that when I initially brought it up, I thought it was just a one-off and it's just me, seeing it and nobody else is paying attention to it. But there are definitely some things that I've either said like a week or two, maybe a month or two ago, and it's some things that I said way before then. And I don't know, but I feel like I'm seeing some traction with it because it's either some of the things, something that I had said is being said by someone else who's like also in the space but more noted than I am, or there are other articles or stories coming out around something that I had brought up. And I'm not over here saying I'm Mr. Know-It-All. Remember, I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial advisor. I do at this point a no-face channel. So, take what I say with the hugest grain of salt. Double check it. What do they say? Don't trust but verify. And do your own due diligence, right? Like I literally am telling you, I literally just scroll through Twitter for some of the accounts that I follow, and then I go through the explore and discovery, and then I'm like, oh, this seems interesting, and then I go from there. Now, if you want to just take that as just, all the truthfulness in the world, I mean, okay, but not okay, you know? But nonetheless, I appreciate the folks who do tap in, and I appreciate the folks who are coming back. I appreciate the scammers, the lurkers, the folks who are out there throwing out the bots on the comment side of it. Because at this point, it's just like, I guess to say it means I'm doing enough of a traction. Like I've hit a level of traction that the algos recognize me enough, and then the people who are paying attention to what the algos are doing are like, oh, bet, let's jump on that channel. Arguably, this is a good thing. Arguably, it is not a good thing. But nonetheless, this is what's going on right now. So I take it for what it is. But nonetheless, I appreciate all the folks who do tap in, regardless of your agenda and why you're tapping in. How about that? Give me one more second because I'm over here typing something into the chat. And if you don't know, I pay more attention on the YouTube side. What is going on? Why are you not thinking? For the live chat, largely because it's an easier thing to pay attention to for the way that I have my stuff set up now. And I'm more used to that side of it versus like the Twitch side or whatever. So, all right, let's jump into these things because there was like a number of things that I kind of bookmarked because I was looking at stuff from like Sunday. So yeah, we're gonna go through. So jumping into, why is it not doing it? Why is it not doing it? Okay, swap. There we go. And there you are. All right. So one of the channels, or YouTube, not YouTube, the Twitter folks that I pay attention to, Peter Van Valkenburg, he says things that catch my attention at times. I think that for those who are either new to the space, even if you've been in the space for a while, it doesn't hurt to go back and look at some of the old stuff, right? And it doesn't hurt to actually read, aka do your due diligence on what the more smarter people in the space are actually putting out as like reports and like essays or breakdowns. Like sometimes you actually got to read, and you're not going to get it all in TikTok. And in case you haven't been paying attention to for what is about to go down in TikTok, yeah, it's I don't even know, man. How how am I saying this? If you're not paying attention, basically a deal is being worked out that uh okay, really? Anywho, so sorry, someone texted me, and yeah, but what am I saying? So he's making an executive order that basically is like, yeah, they're gonna do an American company getting to have partial control within how TikTok works. But the more bigger thing is the AI that they're going to look to, the LLM AI, whatever which way you want to call it, that's going to be pushed in. Is that crypto related? Not really right now. But I said to y'all last week about the fellowship pack that the Winklevoss twins and Coinbase is connected to it. There's something else that I recently heard that I have to look into a little bit more. But if it's what I think I'm understanding, for who is backing them or like gave them the idea, of, hey, you guys should put a pack together. It's about to get real ugly in this crypto space, in relation to the nationalism and the political fever or fever, and propaganda that's really about to get pushed in your face. And I'm gonna probably come back to it like next week or whatever, because I just seen the thing and I ain't really look into it at the time. But if what I think I understand for how political PACs work and what I think I understand about this company that seems to be behind the fellowship PAC, is gonna be looking real crazy out here come like as we move closer towards midterms. And this is crypto related because there's gonna be a lot of crypto stuff being pushed at the public. And I don't know. I think a lot of folks are gonna get got, but that's just my take on it. You don't gotta agree with me. But back to this thing that Peter did. And so basically, new Coin Center report on digital identity by myself and Ian Myers. It might be Myers. AML KYC is ineffective, costly, causes breaches / hacks, and jeopardizes our democracy. Tech from crypto can protect American values in ID. Now, if you don't understand the short of what he's saying is like, hey, if you collect a bunch of people's information and then put everything in one place, even though you don't necessarily, I'm summarizing the shorthand of what this report is about, which I have not read yet, but I am looking forward to reading this. So shout outs to Peter and Ian for making this. But the idea of the way we go about security does not actually deter. In fact, arguably, it makes it easier for folks who are hackers, scammers, and the such of bad actors to actually be able to get everything. Because opposed to having to, let's say, here's an example: you have an apartment that has $50 in each room. It's 100 rooms in the apartment versus you having to go to every room in the apartment to steal the $50. Someone who manages the apartment is like, no, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of the money in one apartment. So now, as opposed to you making all the time, effort, and energy to figure out how to get into 100 different apartments, all you got to do is get into one apartment. That's the short of how this whole the stance that we have, or at least for how we're developing the technology, around security and like the intention, not the intention, the concept of how we construct and layer these different applications of technology when it comes to PII, which is personally identifiable information, as well as other things that are considered like important and of high levels of security, like your financial information, your medical information, right? This is like a crypto thing, but it's bigger than crypto. That's the bottom line of how I would, like, without even reading this, surmise it, because for how much I've been following Peter with his tweets and stuff, like, I think I have an understanding of we're on the relative same page for how we look at the privacy, the values of how Bitcoin can help in these regards. And so okay, sorry. Lord, why is everybody wanting to get to me today? I don't know. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I don't know why, but it just seems like everybody wants to get to me at this particular moment. So yeah, if you are on Twitter, might be something worth a read if you're trying to understand why the old heads say the shit that they say in regards to the crypto thing. You know, it might give you some insight of why we argue about some of the things we argue. And then the other part of just in the bigger thing to understand, like, the way the security breaches have been going, I mean, the vast majority of these security breaches and the size, that's the other key part of it. The volume of information that is being hacked, stolen, lost, put out into the public sphere is because we've been siloing the information. And then we're collecting information that arguably you don't need unless you're trying to make a revenue model that works on selling people's data / information. What is, yo, seriously? I don't understand people right now. I just said I'm doing a live. Why would you then call me? Like, oh God. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking move on. Yeah, so where are you? Where are you? Oh shit. If you look at how what's the thing called? The what's the damn thing called? How the security breaches within the financial side, within the crypto side, within just like medical side of it, literally the common denominator is we siloed the information, and then X amount of the times it was like horrible security implementation, cheesy passwords, really simple passwords, not putting things in encryption, things along that line. But anywho, I'm running off on a topic. Over here to Woo Blockchain, again, one of the other accounts that I follow. This caught my attention. So, according to blockchain research, meme tokens trading on Solana DEX has dropped from over 60 at the end of 2024 to under 30 currently, while Solana stable coin trading volume has surged to its highest level since December 23. Now, if you've been following me for a minute, you know I give two licks about Solana, right? But the part that catches my attention is the thing that I've been saying about like what's gonna move into the space in relation to stable coins. And I think stable coins are about to go through you could say a metaphor, not a metaphor, um, um, a growth. Stable coins are going to go through a growth, and particularly here in the US because of the Genius Act, which now makes it okay for, let's say, and I haven't dug into it enough to understand how this particular thing will play out in terms of will non-banks be allowed to issue stable coins if they go through the process. I'm actually curious about that because non-banks were able to do financial things during COVID, and nobody really paid attention to how much money was moving through those networks and how many people kind of got caught out there. Nonetheless, sorry, I'm looking at this message and it's kind of annoying me right now. Nonetheless, this caught me. For those who were paying attention to Solana, like the 2022, 23, you know, it was definitely heavy on meme tokens. Like Solana is comparable on meme tokens to like Binance. If you ever actually look through like the Binance Chain Explorer to see how many like meme tokens are on it, it's crazy. And Solana really moved up pretty fast in relation to that. But again, like this thing of we're getting, or at least there's an indicator of the user base, or arguably to say like the creator base on Solana, the DEX in particular. They're not worried about the meme tokens like that anymore because the new lick is going to be the stable coins. That's my thought process, because in my mind, I'm seeing a number of things. And when I tell you, I'm not even looking. Like I'm not like hashtag search for stable coins, or like I'm not literally like watching every day on Twitter to be like, oh, did somebody say something about stable coins today? That's not even what I'm doing. I'm literally just scrolling through my notifications, and then I'll scroll through the what you call it joint, the explore joint, and I just see what other people post. Some of the people I follow, some of the people I don't follow. And it's just like, oh, okay, this got put out by somebody. Oh, this got put out by somebody. This one is kind of interesting. This one scratches my brain a little bit. And that's literally how it's working right now. Like I'm not going out of my way to be like, what do they say? Like when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I don't think I have the hammer. I'm not going out of my way to find this stuff. It's just literally just scroll. And then I see something, and that's it. Jumping over to this story right here. It's not even a story. So another Twitter thing I pay attention to is Watch Your Guru. And remember last week I was talking about how you got to be wary and leery of these politicians and of these people of notable personalities who are going to start doing a little bit more political talk. And they're going to like, I'm gonna say COVID was when we started seeing more of the political figures and folks getting the baton or the crypto pass. And I bring this up in regards to this post is because this is a post of Andreas Antonopoulos in 2013 talking to a room of maybe 5 people about Bitcoin. And I reshared this and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. Back in the day, there was nobody talking about America has to dominate the crypto space. There was nobody talking about how blockchain has to be an American technology. There was nobody talking about how America has to be the dominant player. There was no nationalism or patriotism in the conversations that were being had around Bitcoin. And then once we expanded into the other coins, and then when we got to the tokens and stuff, it wasn't oh, well, there has to be a top dog nation state. I don't remember hearing that at conferences. I don't remember having that in the conversations I was having. And then I seen this post and I was like, bet I'm talking about this on Monday. Because it goes to my point. Like this new narrative that's being pushed in the space about how like it has to be American companies and exchanges that are dominant in the space, or it has to be American companies that are pushing the tokens, or like America has to be the number one Bitcoin. Like, no, that's not what this was about. It's not what it is about. And so I look out at this and go like, yo, the folks who are out there running with this political agenda thing, I'm leery of them, because it's like it's an open source technology. Like if you're how am I saying this, if we're going to push in on there has to be a nationalistic or patriotic angle to this thing, then just we lost the whole thing on economic sovereignty or financial freedom. Point blank, bottom line. What up, man? Ooh, nice, bro. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. Hold on, let me get that up there. Congratulations, sir. Remember what they say. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Yeah, just keep that that part alive. But nonetheless, happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday. But yeah, like I was saying, like I seen this and I was like, yo, that's so wild. I was literally just talking about this, and I need folks to understand this new move for nationalism and the dominance of America in the crypto space is a new fucking phenomenon that was and is not a part of the original like thing. It was not the intention. It was not the idea. And then for the conspiracy down the rabbit hole, tinfoil hat folks, like maybe there's some paper that back in the day says something about nationalism or American or whatever. But if there is, somebody DM me with it. Somebody, tag me on the post with it or something. Because again, I think I've been around long enough that I do not remember hearing all of this nationalism talk that we have going on now within the US. And so let's jump up to this next post. Was this the one? So like short thought on this is if you have quantum computers breaking code, aren't you going to also have quantum computers working to build encryption code? Like, I don't understand. Honest, like, I really don't understand why everyone runs on the part of it can only work one way. Like, that's literally not how technology works. It's a cat and mouse game. It's always a cat and mouse game. This person wants to come up with this thing, they come up with it, then the other person comes up with something to counter it. It happens on all like fronts and in all sectors of this technology thing. I don't understand why folks are so hell-bent on, well, it can only be that quantum computing is gonna break every encryption code and Bitcoin is the only thing that needs to worry. Like, nah, dog. If that happened, like, money and financial instruments is the last thing you need to worry about, my guy. That's just my thought process. But anywho, jumping on to this next thing, this also got me. As y'all know, I've been on my talk about Hong Kong for like over a year now. And all right, so for the folks who might not be looking at the screen, whatever, it's a Wu blockchain, and it says, according to Reuters, China Security Regulatory Commission, the CSRC, has advised some local brokerages to pause their real-world asset tokenization business. Shouldn't it be businesses? In Hong Kong, at least 2 lending brokerages have received. Where are you? Okay, I'm on the wrong part. Have received informal guidance. Hong Kong aims to be a digital asset hub amid China's cautious stance. So, as I've said a number of times, and for those who travel to the East or who are out there and about, you know that Hong Kong has been on this thing of we are the financial instrument sandbox, and we are the gateway for the mainland of China. So you can move your gold through Hong Kong. You can go to currency exchanges and exchange whatever currency you have that they will accept into certain cryptos. I need to get to like I really think I have to really put this into the universe to like next year go to Hong Kong to see all of this stuff for myself. I got to make a conference or like do something to get out there for myself. So when I come, well, you know what? You know me. I'm gonna end up doing a live stream from out there. But the point of seeing the things for myself, and then because of being around for a bit, I might ask a couple of different questions than compared to somebody who just got into space last year. That's my thought process. This is something that I actually need to work on making it out to Hong Kong, because I would like to see what this is actually looking like for myself and being able to poke around and potentially ask, not just the soft questions for people who are actually there on ground and building things and starting businesses and, doing their business development where they're combining things versus, excuse me, the being all the way over here and then hearing things like through the news grapevine as far as like, well, so did Reuters take it from a local Hong Kong paper, or does Reuters have somebody who was in the country, well, in Hong Kong on the island, and or were they in China in Beijing and it was like, oh yeah, this story got put out. You know what I'm saying? So like those are the questions and things that I be kind of like wondering now. Yeah, man. Like I'm not saying they always like 100% great on their news. I usually stay away from their like price talk stuff, or like when they get into like the whole things with like ETFs and stuff like that. That's just me though. I'm usually more around like, what are we talking regulatory wise, or like who made some crazy move that you're just like, oh snap, like okay, that happened. All right, we gotta figure that one out. Like what is that an indicator of? That's my take with how I look at Woo blockchain and Guru Watch or Guru. Hold on. Other one, Watcher Guru. There we go. That's who the other one was. And so here is something else. And this is the clickbait. This is where the clickbait title comes in, y'all. This is where the clickbait title comes in. I did not listen to all of this exchange that Arthur Hayes had with this podcast host in particular. I happened to see the clip of where he was talking about the stable coins and the whole thing going in with the treasury bonds. So let me read this caption for the folks who might not be looking at the screen, right? So again, Woo blockchain put it out there. Arthur Hayes, is the US promoting stable coins only to resolve its debt? During an interview, and so connection on, this is why I said the thing of, did Arthur Hayes agree with the Russians? Remember the other day I had posted I had talked about that one clip of one of the consultants to the finance commission or the minister, and he basically was like, yeah, like the administration is pushing this thing about the stable coins and they're connecting it to the treasury. And my hashtag for that is stablejury. And what is that? STBLEASURY. Hashtag that, right? I should have put that in the damn, what you call it. But anywho, reading on the rest of this. During an interview with Kyle Chase, Arthur Hayes, a co-founder of BitMEX, pointed out that in many parts of the world, such as Latin America and developing Asia, I'm gonna come back to that last phrase right there, developing Asia, people have a strong demand for US dollars due to high inflation of their local currencies and deposit rates lower than nominal GDP. However, they can hardly access US dollars because local regulations restrict foreign banks from providing US dollars denominated banking services, which makes stablecoins like Tether highly popular. He believes this situation is expected to unlock trillions of US dollars in capital from the global south, with the potential market size of stablecoin possibilities reaching 34 trillion. He also mentioned that Basson and Trump's promotion of stablecoins has geopolitical significance, and especially it is to let the private sector promote stablecoins globally, ultimately facilitating the purchase of treasury bills. The core goal is to attract price incentive buyers to buy treasury bills rather than focusing on innovation, and this moves the line with the interest of US and this move is in line with the interests of the US monetary policy. So, all right. I did a post last week that literally talks about this game that is about to happen with the stable coins. And like I just said before, the stable coins are going to go through what the tokens and the ICO tokens in particularly went through in that like 2014-16 period. Stable coins are about to go through that. But the catch of it is, where when we had the ICO phase was anybody who was able to like write code or get somebody who could write code for them or copy and paste somebody else's white paper and code, because everything was Ethereum at that time. And then we had other people busting out with a couple of other different blockchains and consensus things. But like, it was open to anybody. You didn't have to be a Wall Street bro or a Wall Street daddy. You didn't have to be Andreessen Horowitz or Mark Cuban, right? You could have been anybody. This next go around, for what I think or what I see as about to happen, is it's going to be all of the people who are connected with enough of the government Wall Street backing to go through the process. Because now, thanks to the Genius Act, you have to fill out paperwork and stuff now. So here we go with the filling out the paperwork. So you're going to have the official channel that people go through. They're going to get the stable coins issued. It's going to be whatever name. So we're going to say stablecoin A. This is the Ponzi scheme of it. This is the rehypothecation of it. And don't forget, if it's a token, you also have the ability, if it's a proof of stake mechanism, that you can do quantitative tightening. I also wrote something else about quantitative tightening. If you find me on LinkedIn, I'm getting back into my groove in posting on. Well, I'm not posting like I did like 4 or 5 years ago, where I was posting like Monday through Saturday. I'm not doing that shit no more. But I'm going through these Monday lives, having, my rambles and thoughts out on the things that are scratching my brain in the space. And then I'm taking my one takeaway and I post it over on the LinkedIn side. That's what I've been doing for the last like 3 or something weeks for now, I believe. But to the point of what I was saying about this last week's post is the scam of it is going to be, you go through the process, you get the blessing, you issue your stable coin, you use the stable coin to then buy the treasury. You take the treasury T-bonds that you get, use a portion of that to then go and then reissue issue a new stable coin. So stable coin B, you then take those stable coins and then you go buy some more T-bonds. You get the bonds. You then go and you issue a new stablecoin C. There's a level of rehypothecation going on here. And we've seen what this looks like. Here's the crazy part. We've seen what rehypothecation looks like in TradFi, and we've seen what it looks like in crypto. We know that back in the early parts of Tether, when they wasn't telling people how the money was backed and you couldn't clearly see how it was backed, that they were doing a basket of financial instruments. And now it's like, quote, public, that it's a basket of financial instruments. But anybody remember Terra Luna? Does anybody remember how the digital stable coin worked out? Then who's like, and then you have the other part of, as far as stable coins have been in existence, aside, not like the new stuff. Like, so I'm not talking about like PayPal's joint or MetaMask's joint. Like, those are the new babies on the block, right? Those are the babies on the block. But for the established folks that have been here for 2+ years, if they was here before COVID, ain't none of them ever hold 100% one-to-one peg the whole time in their existence. And I'm going to still go to my point that I've been making for how long. If traditional finance has it where they can go down to a 0% reserve for how they're backing or, quote, supporting the funds out of the money within their network. What makes y'all think they're gonna wait for decades or generations to do the same thing when you introduce the crypto, aka stablecoin, aspect of this a new quote a new financial instrument? Even though at this point stablecoin's been around for a minute, but when it really starts getting pushed and pumped to the public, it's going to be introduced as this new financial instrument. It's not a new financial instrument, one. And two, we already seen what it looked like when you let financial folks do uh financial engineering. Like arguably there is no better instrument to do financial engineering with than like crypto, stable coins, tokens, all of that stuff, because of the nature of the technology and the level of manipulation that you can do with it at the code level, let alone at the node and the what's the word I'm looking for, the minor level. Well, node and minor, arguably same thing. But point being is, I threw the statement out in the title as, and I didn't listen to the whole thing because the part that I caught, like I heard what he was saying, but it's like this almost sounds like you're saying like they're about to do a swap, but we're not calling it that just yet. Again, if you go off of what's in this little caption that Wu Blockchain put together, this is more PC in comparison to when you listen to some of the other financial or economic folks who are starting to talk about this. Because literally after that Monday, I seen probably another 3 different personalities that I pay attention to bring this story up about how stable coins are going to be used by the US to alleviate its debt issue. Again, I'm seeing rehypothecation. I'm seeing quantitative tightening pushed out into the masses because those are things that you can do with stablecoins, as well as things that you could do with tokens and coins and other financial instruments that are on the Ethereum and the Solana blockchain, as well as pretty much any blockchain that is proof of stake based. Just throwing that out there, right? Anywho, if somebody's actually interested, I really do think like Arthur Hayes really be overlooked. Like the man be saying stuff, but sometimes you just like, you know what it is with him? You got to get past X amount of his heavy financial talk. Like he be throwing out, and I imagine his conversations and the levels that he's in, the circles that he's in, it's not your everyday average person level of community. It's not your everyday average person's level of conversation. Because when you listen to him in his interviews, you definitely have to get past the financial jargon. And I'm not saying he talks like a Danielle Montanaro Booth or like what's his name? What's the other dude's name? I can't remember his name right now. But once you get past like that part of it, or like you start Googling stuff and looking it up while he's saying these things, and you start piecing together like, oh, what this phrase means in regular terms, or like how it applies to what he's saying, or how it connects into this crypto thing, it's like, oh snap, okay. A matter of fact, one of the dudes, and shout outs to BTC Shango, because he had tagged me in one of the posts with Uneducated Economist, and I've talked about him before. I feel that his breakdown is very everyday average person. and how he breaks down the stuff going on with the Fed and the Treasury Department and like the things coming out of Bassett's mouth and the financial stuff that we see being like pushed out in the media, as well as just like what these departments and these chair persons or these commissioners are saying themselves. And he really does break it down. Like if you don't want to get lost in the high talking jargon, I feel like he's a good person to pay attention to. What is that? Stablecoin soon. We'll see. We'll see how that's going to work out in regards to the EU. Because here's the issue in regards to the EU, at least for some of the people that I'm paying attention to. The question is, how will the EU hold up 10 years, 5 years down the road? And meaning that, is there a point or are there things going on now where some of the nation states, these countries, are like, you know what? And I'm talking about at the people level. We're not agreeing to the EU all for one right now. Like, I'm a German, that person's a Polish person, like this person's a Norwegian person. Like, we don't want this whole like one size fits all policy thing that has been going on for what? I think the EU is like 35 years old now. But it's showing signs of cracking, basically, is my point. And that's me going off of some of the other smarter, world financial people that I'm paying attention to, and the geopolitical people who are like, yeah, if you talk to the regular average Joe person, they're not fans of the EU anymore. That's just my take on it. So her trying to push their own version of a stable coin, example of the EU as that governing organization can push their stable coin. But what do you do when Germany is like, you know what, bump it, we don't want to listen no more, we're going to push our own stable coin? What do you do when England pushes their own stable coin? What do you do when the place like Finland or Sweden pushes their own stable coin? There's only but so much leverage that the EU has over the countries themselves. And in large part, I think that the newer generation of folks coming in don't have that. This is gonna sound kind of mean, but the kowtow nature, like the folks who've been running the countries for like the last 30, 25 years. The newer folks coming in, especially considering like how the regular everyday average person, like, look what's going on with Macron right now. Like, folks is like, yo, that man need to get gone. Like, for all of the stuff going on with him, from some of the things I hear, he don't have much longer. Like, he has to like remove from the office, go someplace else. But anywho, back on this, right? What was it that? Oh, basically more security reports got pushed out in South Korea, and I feel this is going to come back up somewhere down the road. Hence why I ended up bookmarking it, because like, shout outs to my boy Jesus Christ, 3D. Damn, I just had the crazy brain fart. Wait, I was making a point because you were talking about it just combo. What's going on, Mr. Clark? I don't know what I said. I say a lot of things, my guy. I say a lot of things, so I don't know. But shout outs to 3D. So when me and 3D was messing around with oh god, I can't remember the name of the damn blockchain right now. But so we go through the whole process and we build our own metaverses as far as like different plot developments, this, that, and the third. And he was the one who put me on to that there were Korean networks that were basically like running these minor scams through going and doing the actual building. Because if you know how oh my god, why can't I remember? It was built based off of what's the name of the joint where it's you're building the blocks. It's not Crypto Voxel. It's not that. It's the other one. MineQuest. Okay, there we go. So MineQuest. So the world physical traits and the premises is built off of MineQuest. And so he was the one who was put me onto that. The reason why this kind of scratches my brain in terms of remembering what 3D was put me on to is there are definitely a number of virtual worlds where you got like the dark side to it, and the dark side that has to do with younger little people. We're not going to run down that rabbit hole, but then there's the other side of where you have the networks that have figured out how to game the system financially. And unless you really digging in and like knowing what to pay attention to or learn what to like look for in how like some of the conversations go, or even when you look at how like the servers pick up or slow down, or if you look at some of like how the landscape is developed, or like there might be certain like icons. When I tell you it's a whole rabbit hole thing, it's a whole rabbit hole thing. And I still say to this day, 3D is one of the smartest folks that I know in this space. But yeah, I feel like this is gonna play out in something later on. I just don't know what yet, or it might be something totally unrelated. This was put up by Jameson Lopp, and this caught my attention. Even though it happened in 2022, it was in Canada. What was that, like 2 years ago? I think I had did like maybe a back-to-back week of like these crypto stories that were about people having like physical attacks and where they were losing or having their crypto stolen from them. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna pick up. Granted, we're not at that era of where we were back in like 2014 to 16, where I'm showing y'all on my YouTube channel or on my IG post or my Facebook thing. Look how much money I got on my crypto accounts. Look how much money I'm trading on Coinbase. Look at what I'm doing in Exodus. Da 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 da. Granted, we not at that phase anymore, right? But in this day and age of it, you have more readable, I know that isn't the right phrasing for it. You have more easily identifiable information that even if you don't show me your crypto wallet or you don't tell me that you have crypto, if I know what to look for, as well as you have a lot more malware stuff that will search out people's apps on their phone, and all it takes is that one link, and they on your phone. And if you ain't have 2FA or you ain't have no kind of password or nothing or a PIN code, like boop, gone. Like you literally got folks who's getting got on the, like, you give your phone to the dude or the female, and let me get the number, da 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 da, and next thing you know, your Coinbase joint is empty. Your Binance wallet is just kaputs. That's what's going on. But like that level of physical violence, hey, not everybody's smart, even though it's like 100 times easier to get some some malware code and like catch somebody slipping, it's still a numbers game. Like, so, and then it's like, well, how much work do you really want to do? All right, I just need to run up to one person who looks like they fit the bill to have crypto, excuse me, threaten them, and then boom, they give it to me. Like, who remembers the story of this is like 2017, maybe 2016, and I think it was either in Russia or it was in England, and like the person got kidnapped, somebody got shot, like, you know, it was wild back in the day, man. And in terms of the level of what people were going to, but even this is still wild because this is like, yo, how did you know this person supposedly had this much worth of the BTC? All I'm saying in the short, as I said before, is be more aware and vigilant of like how you showing people your phone, what you showing in your phone, how you talking about this crypto stuff. Because especially for where we are now, because think about this: if 2013 it was only $100 for Bitcoin, and now we up there, we up there, and considering what's going on in the economics of the world, folks are getting greedy, folks are getting desperate. Those are two very scary opponents to have. When people are greedy and gives two flying Fs, and then when people are desperate, those are two scary kind of people to deal with. Because either one of those folks will do whatever to get what they want, to get what they need. It's all right. Other thing to note, 1.05 trillion Deutsche Bank says central bank may buy and hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets by 2030. So it might not be as much as this, and it will probably be earlier than 2030. That's my takeaway from that. It will probably be before 2030. They're just mentally pumping people to think about 2030. And then okay, so all right, bet. Here's the mental game. Here's the mental game. And all right, this goes to something that what's his name? Uneducated economist talks about all the time. It's using words to manipulate the masses to think a certain way, right? And the Treasury and the Fed do this all the time to the public, right? I'm trying to remember what the name of this joint is. There is a hold on, come on, open up. There's a anime. Well, really, this was based on a manga graphic novel, but it is one of the most. Why are we not opening? It is one of the most mind-blowing animes. Like, for the folks who are in the anime, and I'm talking about anime on the end of like the anime that makes commentary on life, or to get you to really wonder and think about some of the things you see going on around. And it is called, and I literally had to hit 3D up for this. I was like, yo, bro, what's the name of this joint? Blah, blah, blah. It's called the, come on, why are we, oh, I know why now. Never mind. It is called the Genocidal Organ. Did I go too far? I think I went too far. Yes, it is called a Genocidal Organ. And I forgot what, well, that's the English version of it. No, that is the name that you could find it in for YouTube. But it is actually very hard to find if you go under the actual Japanese name. Nonetheless, it plays into the whole thing about how you use words to get the public or a targeted group of people to behave in a certain way. And to the point within this thing about Deutsche Bank saying that by 2030, we're going to do this with Bitcoin versus let's say we only buy $1 billion worth and we do it on the way to 2030. So by the time we get to 2030 and the price is moving, the price moved up to where the value was more than $1 trillion. So we only spent like maybe $1 billion, maybe a little bit short of $1 billion, but we know that if we get enough people or enough what's the word? It's not social capital, but if we get enough of the angst and the folks who go on the FOMO to start taking action, because they looking at 2030 as the deadline, but we already probably started buying in like 2026, 2025. We just not saying that just yet. So there's a level of dollar cost averaging in at the institutional level, and we're not going to spend actually $1 trillion, but we spend enough of, and then we calculate out to be like, all right, by the time we get to 2030, it'll be above $1 trillion. That's just me and gamification in my head. I might be totally wrong on this. Remember, I'm just some guy on the internet who don't show his face at the moment. But those of you who've been around for a minute, y'all already know what it is, right? I'm not a CPA. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just like this crypto unk dude who kind of been around for a minute. And I'm not out here saying I'm a baller or I'm in like, these high level conversations like Arthur Hayes. It's just you be around for a minute and then you kind of see the patterns of behavior, right? All right, what was the next one? Oh, this is another one that caught my attention too. I expect to hear more stories about this down the road, especially now with the pushing of the stable coins. Because here's the other part of how the stable coins market in terms of quantity of stable coins is going to grow. You're going to have the official stable coins, and then you're going to have the scamming stable coins. That's the part that's going to kick. That's part of what's going to screw people over. At least that's my thought process on it. So the UK and the US will establish a transatlantic task force for markets of the future to enhance collaboration on capital markets and digital assets, aka stable coins. The task force aims is to ease cross-border capital rising for firms and explore short to medium-term cooperation on digital asset regulations as both countries develop their legislative frameworks. I'm just saying, like, we're getting told what's about to come down the pike. Now, for anybody who's like ever deployed, right? So shout out to the gang folks, right? One of the things that like we make the joke about is like you'll get the whole like, all right, here's what the mission is going to be when you like you ain't even leave country yet. You ain't not even halfway down range, and you're going through all your prep stuff. Hey, so here's what the mission is going to be. Blah 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 blah. They start telling you all these things about how you need to train towards this and how you need, and then this is like, yeah, but like, like half the time, if not more than half the time, none of it means jack diddly until you get on ground. Because by the time you get to the training site, you go through that process, whether it be 2 weeks or a month and a half. You fly out on a bird, you halfway over the Atlantic, you get to your midpoint to wherever it is you going, and then you finally get to your AO. All right, the mission is blah blah blah. Wait, I thought you said we was doing nah, that got scrapped. When? Like, and to me, this is one of those kind of things right here. Here's what the intention is as far as how we're gonna put it out towards the public. And notice where the focus is. The focus is on the bigger end financial entities. This isn't about the everyday person. Personally, I don't necessarily get why they're gonna try to do it with the UK, but we'll see how this play out. This is gonna be a story somewhere down the line before 2030, this task force is going to come up again. And I'm actually curious on, is it called, what would that be? TTMF? That is a horrible acronym. TTM, I don't know, but this is going to come out someplace down the road again, because something's going to happen where the task force is going to either try to claim that they like protected something or something along that line. I can see that happening. All right. This was the other clickbait title. So, Breadman, I'm gonna read you this joint that Coinbase put out, and then we'll get to what Breadman's comment is on it. And I just thought it was hilarious because initially when I saw it, I read the comment and I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And I had to read the actual whole thing. So, Coinbase experience. Like with crypto-backed loans, we are providing an integration with on-chain lending protocol Morpho to connect lenders and borrowers on a permissionless basis, all on Base. Once you deposit your USDC, a smart contract will be created by Coinbase to connect to the Morpho protocol via vaults curated by Stakehouse Financial. I don't know who they are. I don't know much about Base. And there's another post that I have that I'm now a little bit more questioning / curious about Base. Curated by Stakehouse Financial, where the funds will be allocated across different lending markets to optimize returns, meaning it's not all going to sit with, no. So it's not all going to sit on one exchange. That's what that sounds like. And you instantly start earning yield. Your funds are always accessible and can be withdrawn at any time when liquidity permits. Let us keep in mind you can mess with liquidity on the back end of an exchange. You can turn off the exit ramps or the exit rails for centralized exchanges. So for all the folks who are looking to, at least for how I think I understand this, again, I'm not 100% on Base. I got to look into that, because the other part to note is that Reggie also did something with his physical silver, the whole NFT thing that's on Base, and Base is on Ethereum, in the Ethereum ecosystem. So I'm kind of wondering how this is actually working out and like how the parts fit. But at the end of the day, since it is a Coinbase, in my mind, I know there has to be a Robinhood's type of financial breakers, meaning that if the market, in terms of the open market and everyday person, um, are there, or let's say there is a legitimate thing of the market is just moving, and we're talking about the everyday average Joe, not high net worth individuals. This is not a hacking situation where someone found a loophole within the smart contract to be able to do something. I imagine that they still have a policy as well as the technical ability to stop, freeze, or reverse the smart contract, as well as what's the other phrase? Pause or stop the off ramps as far as you being able to exit and like extract your capital. Hence that part of like when liquidity permits, again, they can play with the liquidity numbers on the back end for what you see on the front end as the user. Just throwing it out there. See what y'all do with that. Not financial advice, just you've been around in the space for a while and you see things. I gotta reach out to Reggie about this, because I feel like he already did this before with the Veritasium. What was it? It was Veritasium assets, I think. And I feel like it was It was on Ethereum. So it's something different in the protocol for how he's doing it with this thing now. I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing. Okay. Thank you, Prospector. I appreciate. Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering about this situation. Um, I will reach out to him at some other point about that. And I think this is my last story. Is it? Uh, it is. Um, so what was it that had got me with this? So Crypto T says this man was trying to stop paper Bitcoin. I'm not 100% certain how Crypto T was meaning to present that. Probably just very easy to do contracts on base. You know what? I don't know if he vibe coding and the way if you going, I don't know if you on Twitter, but go and find the video and watch it and like DM me. Let me know what you think. Cause like it definitely for what he was doing between the desktop and the phone, like it was quick enough. Um, and I'm not playing it for folks who are curious because then it's gonna really slow up my stream feed. I need to upgrade on the PC, y'all. I know. Well, at laptop wise, I need to upgrade. But anywho, um, what was I saying? Oh, so yeah, Crypto T says this about Gary Gensler, which like some folks are going like, oh, well, it was Gary Gensler who was the one who was pushing, but it's like really, I look at it now and I go, who was the planning man or person or persons or woman in the Biden administration when it came to this crypto thing? Because Biden didn't come up with the plan and the idea on his own. Hell no on that. You can never sell me on that idea that Biden came up with all of that on his own for the whole crypto choke point thing. Like, no way in hell. But I also don't think that Gensler came up with it. It came out of some other think tank angle, right? So arguably, Gensler was just doing his part. Because again, look at what's going on right now with some of the SEC court cases against some of the players within the crypto space. Oh yeah, you know what? We're gonna reverse what we said about you. We're not gonna, and I still say the same thing. Where's Reggie's reverse an apology? Where's the folks that you was like, oh y'all gotta get this crypto back? Like where's the payback on those things? That's just my thought on that one. Y'all don't gotta agree with me. I promise you. It don't matter to me that you don't agree. So now you have it that we see certain what do they call it when you not reproach. Damn, what is it called when you start like backpedaling? There we go. We see backpedaling within the SEC and like some of the cases that they had against some of the players in the space. Like case in point, Odyssey. Like, look how they ruined that whole platform and the company and the dude, the founder dude. I can't remember his name. Look at how what's the other one? Oh man, what's that dude's name? I can't remember his name right now. The point being, folks, is we see the backpedaling with how the SEC is moving. And it makes me wonder if, or it to me, it's like more of a, he was just playing his part and he was getting that leeway that he was getting because like it was the setup for this stuff now. If that makes sense in terms of like, hey, throttle it, throttle it, throttle it, make statements that All right. I don't even know what I did just now because I feel like I did not touch the mic. Thank you, Prospector. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was literally just running down memory lane looking at some old tokens um on Etherscan, and I am definitely like mind blown. Like Liver Peak and friggin' what's the wait, is that what did it? Hold on. Is that what did it just now? Okay, that's not what did it. Yeah. So like Civic and Live Peer and Pillar and Populous, PayPie. Jesus. Wow, man. Oh, Oasis, OMG, yeah, man. Like I said, like it I'm telling y'all, for the stablecoin thing, we have seen this made for TV movie when it was just us in our little crypto space over in the corner, minding our business. And what is about to get pushed out on the masses right now is big screen. We've seen this movie. The rehypothecation is going to happen. The intrabank lending stuff is going to happen. The quantitative tightening is going to happen. And at the end of the day, folks are still going to get scammed like nobody's business. Not to mention, you're going to have the government pushing crap on you that's going to screw people in the long run. Like in the example of, and I'm not even saying this as a thing right now, right? But like I've said this before, during Obama's administration, you had it that pension companies were literally saying, "Hey, we're going to be insolvent in 75 years, in 50 years. We need to start putting stuff in now that we don't have to pay out these folks who are going to retire like after 2055 or like 2055, 2060." And I'm talking state and city and county pensions were all saying this back then, and they're still saying it now, but no one friggin' talks about this. And so now you have it that you are looking and going, well, my pension is gonna, like, how am I saying this? How am I saying this? You might be, what did they say? I think between now and like 2030 is going to be the largest exit of the labor force in terms of like the boomers generation. And so X amount of those folks are going to leave the labor force, and where they would be able to make, like, if they were hourly, they could make overtime, they can make extra. If they were salaried, depending on where they work, they were able to get bonus stuff, right? But taking a combination of, you got X amount of layoffs and stuff coming down the pike left and right, you got the prices of stuff going up left and right, X amount of a working age labor force is leaving the labor force, whether that be white collar or blue collar work. And so with that, they're not making the money that they were making. And I literally be having this conversation now about how I'm looking at retirement now based on how I see my elders going through their retirement process, in terms of who already retired, who's the aunt who's been retired for this long, who's the uncle who's been retired for that long, who's about to exit the labor force. And it's just like, all right, how much of what you have set aside is like dependent on the system working the way that it was promised to you that it would work now or in another 5 to 10 years? I remember I was talking to my pops about this, about the whole thing of like, yeah, I'm doing X, Y, and Z things. Some of the things I'm really spreading the baskets around on the end of, at least for how I look at it, and then the whole thing of retirement timeline is one. Here's the funny part about like this retirement thing and how we look at it and go, I'm doing all of this work and the saving and this and that so that when I reach this number that we don't get to set, right? The system tells us that, hey, your retirement age is 60, but in another 5-10 years, they could push that joint up to 75. They can push it up to 65. Then another like 15 years after that, push it up to 70, right? We don't get to do that. That's the legislators on the bureaucrats on their side doing it. But if you're 45, if you're 50, now you gotta like make it to the 60, the 65, and then keeping an account of like, hey, is the money that I'm like saving, investing, and hopefully everything passing over, so that when I get to that magic number, I can start using that to supplement how I'm paying for bills and quote living life. But you got to make it to that magic number. Meanwhile, the amount that you was making, or the amount that you get, isn't the amount that you were making when you were actively working. But yet, depending on what you did and depending on how old you are and how like your health is going, you might not be able to do stuff that's in a full-time salary capacity. So now like you looking at your pension going like, damn, I'm in a rock and a hard place. I need to work, but I can't work full-time to make the money. And then what is it? If you in what's the thing called? If you in what's the damn thing called? If you receiving, is it Social Security? It's one of them that do something real funky. You know what? I'm done on this part. All right. So enough about Gary Gensler. I definitely lost the train on that one. There we go. That. Um, again, just like I'll be looking at the stuff now going on with my elders, friends, and family folks, and just seeing how they followed the rules for what we were taught as like, this is how you're supposed to set yourself up for your latter years of retirement. And I'm honest, like, I don't think the things that we were told over let's say the last 30, I don't think the things that we were told over the last like 70 years, because like every generation or two they introduce a new financial instrument to the masses. Credit cards are an example of a different medium of a debt mechanism. Checks are a different example. IOUs, promissory notes, when you do things like leveraging and like ETFs, like those are all different examples of financial instruments that are based on certain types of medium. And those new upgrades happen like every generation or two. And then when you get into the part about the labor force, like back in the day, 401ks were not a thing. 401ks, I think, come in like the 80s, or it might have been the 90s. I don't remember the exact year on that one, or the decade, I should say it that way. And then like the other thing with like pensions wasn't an always thing neither. Like, think about this. Child labor laws don't come into play until after, I think, World War II. And the way you listen to people talk today, no one understands or realizes that like things like child labor law were like socialist ideals. but no one takes it that way anymore. But anywho, I'm over here losing myself. Yeah, the crypto space is about to really go through some stuff, and I'm gonna tie this all out. I'm gonna tie it all out to this, right? Like I was talking to oh, shout outs to Rick Dudley, by the way, because we had a, um, uh, a Twitter exchange, and he said some things that I was just like, wow, like interesting dude. Like I feel like I got more I give him more cool points. I should say it that way. And he said something else too about like the whole, being in the space and um yeah, we'll see how that play out. Um about being in the space and, getting burnt out. And I actually wanted to use that as part of the actual title for this, but I didn't. Because folks don't care. In the short answer of it. But the other part to say, like, the burnout thing is real. And I remember, like, if you've been at this or been around this on the content side for as long as I have, and mind you, I took off the year and change, came back. And I only started the content, what was that, 2017? But I was in the space way longer. And there's only a handful of folks who was doing content from like 2015, 2014 to now. Crypto Blood is one of them. Shit, like, God, what is his name right now? I be seeing him when I go to New York. And I be seeing him in other places too, and I can't remember his name right now. But like, he switched his whole platform format thing. Um, and my point in relation to the thing about the burnout is that, and I had said to Rick, like, it's okay to step away. Oh, other note, shout outs to my guy Mind Your Biz, because he reached out to me the other day on something too. But like, it's okay to Rice too. Shout outs to Rice TV. And I was talking with him the other day, like I think a week or two ago. But like, and I've said this before on here about like, what does it mean to make crypto content in like another 5 or 10 years, right? And if you've been in this space long enough, like, you go away a year or two, and then you come back, and it's just like, all right, yeah, the space has moved forward X amount, but it's still some of the same shenanigans going on. It's still, like, we're moving away from further away from the ideals of economic sovereignty and financial, freedom. Um, and again, like, this new wave narrative push of nationalism and stuff in the space, just mind blowing to me. No, it wasn't Rice TV that I was initially thinking of, but just the idea that you've been in it long enough, you've seen a number of the different cycles, and I would definitely argue like this post C19 is definitely, it has a different energy and vibe to it, largely in part because the eccentrics and the cypherpunk people who were the majority of the mindset in the space, we're the minority right now. We are not, by any stretch of the imagination, the dominant mindset in this space right now. And so when you come from that time period and then like you move through this whole thing and you just look at it, you're just like, yeah, I know for me, it was definitely I need a pause on this. Like, I didn't even, no, actually, I didn't even think I needed a pause. It was just one day I was just like, nah, I don't feel like doing nothing today. And then another day happened and the same thing. And it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just taking a pause right now. and I wasn't sure if I was going to come back on this. And I forget what happened that made me like, all right, bet I'm gonna talk about this thing. And the experimenting of like how to get back to get in the flow of doing stuff. Cause it was like, well, I don't want to do it the same way as far as the weekend crypto setup or format of going through the news articles. Because even with those news channels, like all of that stuff for how they talk now, X amount of their content now is like mainstream financial news stuff. So like you see the crossover happening now, as well as when you're looking at, you know, some of the traditional finance news sources, like there's a the Bitcoin ticker on the RSS feed thing. You know, so like just looking at this space and going like, all right, like I'm gonna step away. Let me come back after a bit and then see. And if you're on the content side, because there's the part of like you work and in the industry as far as like you're at a company or you're coding or you're like a project manager or you're a business development person and you're seeing it on that end. And that has you on like an inside kind of track with it, but like you're in the company versus when you're on this outside and you're more on the content side of it, you have more of a broader view of the space. And then depending on how much you move around or how much like digging you do in relation to the stories or the people, personalities in the space, or like the history of events that you do, it's a broader perspective that's different than the person who's like working for a company or has worked for like, you know, 2 companies or 3 companies, has moved around a little bit. But at the same time, like that level of like the bigger overview, it gets overwhelming. And at a certain point, it gets like monotonous and mundane. And then when you start seeing the patterns in certain stuff, it's just like, man, like at least for me, you just kind of get tired of it and just want to break. But anywho, that's enough of my ramble. I think that's gonna be my takeaway for this one is and I think I've said this before too, like crypto space as a phrase, I don't think is gonna have meaning in another 10 years. It wasn't Max Kaiser. But Max was also one of the early folks for me too. So was Andreas Antonopoulos. Like I showed the still of him at a 2013 conference. It was like 5 people in the room and one guy was walking out. And oh my God, I can only imagine how he looks at the burnout effect of being in this space. Cause like he was actually doing all of the talks, the interviews, the arguing, you know, like professional argument with people on stuff. He was going to the meetings, the conferences, the legislative bodies, and like, oh my God, like I can only imagine what his level of burnout is on this. But yeah, man, that's it. That's all I got, folks. So it's a Monday, and I hope your weekends were productive. If not productive, at least being able to recharge your batteries. As I have been throwing out in the little sideways concerns on this, is it's a lot going on for people out there. Like today, I had to go have a lunch with a friend. Um, you know, their loved one is in the hospital right now, and they're going through recovery. But like they're at the hospital every day. And so I was like, you know what? Let me go check this person. They need a break, a timeout, a little. Let me break from this week-long routine of me being in this hospital every day for more than 5 hours. So like, hey, just come out, eat some food. Let's talk non-hospital stuff. And sometimes you got to take that time to do that for people, you know? Life is lifing out here, man. Life is lifing out here in some of the wildest. Wow. And I heard a crazy story today from a friend on how they almost got kidnapped in a Walmart. So I'm gonna say, be safe. And as I say, from one human to the next, the best thing I can wish for you is to be in a safe space, in good company, and in a safe space. It's Monday, and hopefully, we're gonna have a productive week. At least put that out in energy in the universe. I'm also putting out in the universe, making it to Hong Kong like next year. But other than that, y'all, and I appreciate you too. Yo, Fart Spray, you're hilarious. I don't know about wisdom. I don't know about wisdom. It's just, you've been dealing with life long enough. Like, some things kind of make sense, I guess, at a certain point. Right? But y'all have a good one, man. And I will catch y'all on this next show.
I'm Trek with 2Ks.